this video, I'm sharing with you 25 things to do before traveling abroad. Whether you're planning for your first international trip or want to be better prepared for your next elite trip. Number one thing you got to do before traveling abroad is checking your passport. Exploring day to enter many countries. Your passport should be valid 6 months after your final day of travel to be safe. Renew 9 months before it expires. If you wait at the last minute, like a lot of people do, expand can be $60 to $400. The price depends on your situation and the company you're expedited with. If you're running out of page your passport, then it's time to get a new one and add extra page. Keep in mind for normal proceeding time in the US and Canada, it could take 6 to 8 weeks to get a new passport. During this time, you will not be able to travel international. So renew according. This is critical information. I am a Canadian citizen, so if you are from another country, I highly recommend you to look up specific information for your citizen too. Number 2, before booking anything, check traveling advice. As the government issue a travel warning for your intended destination. If so, use the best judgment and decide whether you should still go there or elsewhere on cases the town is burning up. Number 3, make a copy of your passport data page. Print at least 2 copies of your passport data page. Is the page with the photo and expiration date, of course. I typically place a copy in each bag that I'm traveling in just in case they get lost, stolen, or need proof for ownership. It's a good idea to keep a copy at home with a trusted family member or a friend. Most likely nothing tragic is going to happen, but you never know. Your proof of personal identification somewhere, email copy to yourself as well. It's very important. Number 4, are you traveling with children? If a child is less than 18 years old, is traveling with both parents, and if your child is traveling with no parent, just ask the permission for the other parent. Number 5, another very important thing to do is to get foreign access visa if needed, like to go to Brazil. Let's say you want to go to China, Vietnam, or India, or Brazil. If you're Canadian or US citizen, you need to pay a visa to enter those countries. However, for Korean and Thailand, you will not need to get a visa depending on which country you're from. The visa situation will vary. Try not to get a visa at the last minute, just like getting a new passport. It is expensive to get an expedited visa, so take care of that part. So just check it out before you leave, at least 1 month before. Number 6, you got to get your travel vaccine. Vaccine can get costly, but you must take these seriously. While they are common vaccine to get as a traveler, different destination, and your unique itinerary call for a specific vaccine. I recommend you to start getting your vaccine 6 weeks prior to your trip. Some vaccines require multiple doses of your doctor. Your clinic doesn't have it all the time. They got to order more, so it takes some time. Try to do as many things as you can in advance to avoid unnecessary anxiety and stress. And remember, bring your vaccine record from your appointment. This will save you time and money from getting all the shot. I might already have vaccine provide a limited period for immunity, so you may need to have new dose for your trip. You may experience side effects like headache, fever, and fatigue, so schedule your vaccination accordingly and remember to fill your prescription and have enough for the road. Your travel destination may not carry the same medication that you are dependent with. We will talk about it on the different video. Number 7, don't forget the prescription for your medication. If you use prescribed medicine, you should get your prescription before you go. Travel company require you to have them on board, and you will need them if you run out in the other country. Number 8, be assumed to pack enough to last the whole trip. Bring some with you in the carry-on and to save in your bag, because if it's stolen. Some prescription drugs are illegal in another country, so confirm if you are clear on the topic of your health. Number 9, take care of your body and build a strong immune system as much as you can before you travel. Stay hydrated, exercise, eat nutritional meal, rest, and get quality sleep before the big day you're gonna fly. These are things you should be doing on a regular basis anyway, but I know we all get busy. Sometimes we get tired and we know we stay up late and working. But when your trip is coming, you got to get full gear and take care of yourself on top of that. It's easier to get sick on the plane because your body gets very dehydrated and you're already sick. Flying may worsen your condition. In my last trip, I went to Morocco, and the night before, I was really, really sick. I caught a cold and I got worse in the plane. It was high altitude of flying every couple of days, and after every flight, my condition worsened. My cough got worse. I had more headache, and by the time I got home after, I was very, very sick. So my priority was to heal and strain my body. So this is a very, very good number to take care of yourself before. Number 10, are you planning to drive? Well, then you got to get your international driver permit. About 150 countries will accept it, but in other case, tourists are not allowed to drive. For example, in China, you need a Chinese driver license. Check the update list of the country to confirm if your travel destination will allow you to drive in the United States. There are only 2 organizations that issue an international driving permit for Canadian and United States. It's the AAA and the AA. Other places are not legitimate. The typical walk-through without an appointment and walk out at the international driver permit within an hour if you have an appointment. Remember to bring 2 passport photos, Canadian or US driver license, and about $30 if it's your first time. Number 11, get traveler insurance or not. Sometimes we don't know. First, check it if your credit card already come with a travel insurance. And yes, a lot of time it does. Ensure that it covers medical and juridical expense. Thief, robbery, lost luggage, and cancel flight. If not, when you do get traveler insurance, get the one that covers expense related to medical and dental emergency, as well as disaster evacuation and accident death. The longer your trip and the more adventurous your plan to get them. Yes, travel insurance, it's a must. When I went to Morocco again for 3 months, my travel insurance for the entire time for the trip. And the last one, I have a motorcycle accident, and I thought I was fine. And my knees got really, really bad. And after 2 days, my knees really, really got worse. So I went to the hospital, and thankful my cost it was nothing because I have the insurance. I never utilized the insurance for that. It was my choice. I always give a copy of my travel insurance detail to my daughter in Montreal before I leave Canada. Just in case something happened to me, she would not have to pay it out from her own pocket. Travel can look very glamorous and fun, but you should try to be a responsible person as you can. And you could be responsible by preparing to do so. Number 12 is research before you book your flight. Find out what are special events that's going on where you're going. Are they holiday, festival, natural event, like diving with the shark in La Paz, Mexico, or being in the carnival in Rio de Janeiro? And what the weather is like. It is going to be sunny, humid, icy cold. Find out when your peak season, or maybe consider traveling to your destination when there are tourists, because the weather is so bad, that's why they're not there. Or maybe you want to go on the peak season, but if the weather is fine, why not? Number 13, be sure your card are not expiring during your trip, and pay your bill in advance to avoid late fee. Set up auto pay for your bill so you don't have to worry about that. Number 14, bring enough cash. Most countries in the world accept credit card, at least in major cities. The most widely accepted credit card brand international are Visa and MasterCard, like you know. Other card brands like American Express are generally less accepted by merchants around the world. Other remote countries operate more on cash. Let me tell you, it's always good to have cash, especially if you want to handle some store aboard and go to the market, a local market. They always want to be paid cash. I recommend bringing a little more cash than you think you might need, and I totally understand. It's challenging to know exactly how much, but bring whatever you think. You do not want to spend hours looking for an ATM machine, and sometimes the card doesn't accept credit card. I personally have spent too much time looking for the withdrawal for my cash somewhere in Mexico, and I lost a lot of time because they were not connected. And limitation, can change all the time. So the cash again is going to be a good thing to pay for the luggage. Number 15, what you should bring for your trip. Well, pack light and smart, but do not get so minimal where you end up spending a bunch of time and money trying to shop aboard, and you end up not finding the thing you need to pack the necessary. Bring an earplug, feminine product, adapter, mosquito repellent, and number 16, medical and recreation marijuana may be legal in full in Canada or USA, but do not bring them when you travel. If you caught in possession of drug, traveler may go to prison and face heavy fine, and you will also need a lawyer there, not your lawyer. Well, they are a prison. So be careful. Number 17, a lot of owners of Airbnb will fail to mention that your living space was on the fourth floor within an elevator. I pack a lot of in my trip because I was doing film and I need a lot of dressing. So some travelers like to book an accommodation, but at least book the first night, whatever, in the hotel or Airbnb, and surf after all around, whatever it is. Number 18, have a place ready for you, and if you arrive exhausted or even late at night, like I said earlier, the last thing you want is to look for a place to sleep and getting frustrated because it's taking too long to find one and it's costly and exploded and you didn't know. On top of that, you may not have the connection to the Wi-Fi when you arrive. And personally, like I booked my accommodation in advance, but everyone had their own style. But I recommended to book at least one place if you want to be so adventurous and do it during your trip. Number 19, register your trip depending on your situation. It could be very necessary if you travel somewhere remote or safely is a questionable registering your trip. It would help the Canadian or US embassy know how to contact you and assist you in the case of an emergency, such as an earthquake, whatever can happen, so you disappear. Number 20, save all the information you need before boarding your flight, like what's the address and phone number of the place where you're going to stay. You will need these details while filling out the immigration form. Typically, the flight attendant will pass this form out before landing So remember to bring your pen. I always forget sometimes. And if you're sleeping and you did not get the form, ask for it. Download the app online and of your destination on your phone, so you can navigate without Wi-Fi. Also print your accommodation detail as a backup and make a photo and keep those photos in your smartphone. All available without Wi-Fi. Consider sending a copy of your itinerary so you can send it to your family and your friend, and they can contact you if it's an emergency back there or where you are. Number 21, get an international data plan back at home for long-term travel. I prefer using an unlocked phone. Data package aboard can be far cheaper than the one you use in Canada or the US. Believe me, I know. When I traveled for 6 months in France, I canceled my Canadian data. It was so expensive, and I got a SIM card at the airport when I arrived. Depending on where you're traveling to, you may be cheaper to get data plan. You can use Wi-Fi, but the question is, doesn't your accommodation have dependable Wi-Fi? So I recommend getting a mobile data. It's very important. Number 22, get an adapter and check for dual voltage on your device. Find out if you need an adapter and what voltage they use. For instance, the US use 110 volt, while the Europe use 220 volt. In this case, you will need to ensure that the voltage on your 110 electronic is also suitable for the 220. Usually you can see that in a small letter on the charger. You can use voltage in the range, otherwise your device will fry. Believe me, that happened to me too. Number 22. Let's talk about setting up your house while you're away. Do you need to have your mail pickup while you're away? Maybe you could request the post office to hold your mail. Who's going to water your plant and walk your pet if you're going away? If the whole family is traveling, your empty home can look very appetizing for burger. It's good to have a trusted family member and friend to stop by once in a while to check up things. Can install security camera and have a remotely controlled system where you can control light to turn on and off, and sometimes that's really work. Number 24, maybe even stay over. There are other options. If you have loved one at home because you don't want them to come with you, you can be utilizing specialized people that do house sitting for your house and your pet. It's very good. Your plant and loved one. You may have different associations and specialized people that can be really happy to take care of everything for you. Number 25. One of the last but not the least to do, double check your passport. I told you before, but it's very important. You don't want to get to the airport looking for your passport and start panicking because you leave it at home. Make sure you put it in a secure place. Check it where it is before you leave the house and when you get in a taxi or whatever. Especially for an international arrival, because you have to arrive like a lot of time before to allow some custom, and sometimes stuff can happen. I hope this video helped you to prepare your international and just take one step at a time and don't leave everything to do at the last minute. That's really my suggestion, to be zen. Just wait for you for the next video and leave a comment in the bottom because I love to hear your question, and au revoir.